This is One on One. We're here with State Senator Paul Sarlo, who is the Deputy Majority Leader and also the Chair of the Budget and Appropriations Committee. Senator, here at the New Jersey Business and Industry Association Annual Public Policy Forum. Fiscal outlook. I mean, you know better than most legislators, 2016 New Jersey fiscal outlook. Describe it.
Well, Steve, one of the things we're seeing in North Jersey, clearly Manhattan and New York City, the economy is coming back strong, and we see that. Unfortunately, here in New Jersey, our economy still continues to lag the rest of the nation. You know, after the great economic downturn in 2009, we're seeing it rebound, but unfortunately, we're not seeing the growth that I would like to see. Just 3% growth every year really adds a lot of revenue to our state budget, allows us to protect some of our most vulnerable citizens, allows us to provide targeted tax cuts and the like.
Let's try to go through a few of these quickly. I know they're complex issues. Prediction: increasing the gas tax in 2016 to fund this so-called Transportation Trust Fund, which takes care of our roads and bridges. You say yes. Will it happen?
Well, listen, Transportation Trust Fund, as you know, is broke. There is no money left to fund any infrastructure projects here in New Jersey. And once the Transportation Trust Fund goes broke, there's going to be no money to leverage from the federal government.
It's broke end of June?
It goes broke this June, that's correct. June of 2016. So clearly it's incumbent upon the legislature and the governor to make a deal. The legislature, I believe, is willing to provide some tax fairness issues to the governor in order to leverage, be able to provide a gas tax increase, including the estate tax, potentially phasing out of the estate tax, and raising the exemptions on the retirement income. So there's a lot on the table, but there is no tomorrow. We're down to about 6 months left. This fund will be broke, and there will be no dollars to put into our transportation.
Explain that to folks who don't understand the kicking the can down the road on the Transportation Trust Fund. They say, well, legislators do it a lot, governors do it a lot, but on the Transportation Trust Fund, if we don't have this source of funding, if we don't put that money in there to improve roads and bridges, what would it actually mean to people on the roads and bridges every day? Quality of life, what does it mean? Safety, what does it mean?
Well, I mean, we've been kicking the can down the road. We've been kicking the can down the road now for almost 6 years. We can't kick it down the road because there is no more dollars. And essentially, just as simply as paving roads, paving highways.
So what, potholes stay there?
Potholes will stay there. I mean, you could probably fix some potholes through some maintenance dollars, but physically improving intersections, paving of roads, bridges that are crumbling will have to be shut down. That's how serious this could really get. After harsh winters, I mean, hopefully this winter is not as harsh as it was last year. After a harsh winter, bridges that are 40 to 50 years old will begin to see deterioration. You'll see concrete crumbling. Concrete crumbling is not in the best interest of the traveling public, becomes very dangerous. I think you're going to see more and more bridges closed. I think you're going to see more and more highways become very dangerous. I think you're going to see people's commute increase. That affects people's quality of life. It goes on and on and on. This is a necessity. We have to fund this. We're going to need the governor at the table. And I understand he's in the midst of a presidential election.
As we do this interview, as we approach Christmas 2015.
And that's correct. And
if he comes back, what difference does it make?
Well, if you're running for presidential election, it's going to be very difficult for him to be able to sit across from the Democratic-controlled legislature with a bipartisan support and to approve a gas tax.
Let's talk about other taxes. Millionaire's tax. You've talked about it a lot. You've been on Capitol Report many times with us. My colleague, Raphael Piorman, we talk about millionaire's tax. You're in favor of it. Why?
Well, listen, I want to... anytime you raise a tax is a difficult vote to make. And in the past, I have not always supported the millionaire's tax. A millionaire's tax, and I think you need to couch what an actual millionaire's tax is. There's different levels of, millionaires. Using the word millionaires is a very generic term. But we have provided some very targeted corporate business tax over the past 6 years, and a lot of tax credits and a lot of incentives. And some of our higher income earners, we're talking a very, very small percentage. If you speak to some of them, they realize that a little bit of an extra tax is not going to hurt them and hurt their financial standing. That will help us be able to fund some very important projects here in New Jersey.
Like?
and also pay for our pensions. Our pensions is
Public employee pensions, talk about that.
we have an obligation. We have an obligation to pay it. The bill is here. We can't avoid it. It's an obligation that we have as taxpayers in New Jersey to pay the pensions. Whether we like it or not, it's an obligation we have.
Explain it to folks who are not public employees, Senator. They say, look, I'm not a public employee, so why does the public employee pension crisis, the debt that's there, the money that is not in place to pay for public employees who retire, why is that my issue if I've never worked for the government?
Well, the teachers who educated their children, when they call the police department and the police arrives, the police that keep them safe, the EMS and the fire, those who maintain our roads, those who pave our roads, those who plow our roads, these are public employees. And these are people who are there, have been there for New Jerseyans. Traditionally, although they may have had a fairly stable salary, they've had a health benefit and a pension, and it's our obligation to pay that. Those are contracts that have been negotiated time and time again between executive branches of government and the public employee unions.
What do you say to New Jerseyans who are polled, they're surveyed, and people say, I do not want any of my taxes raised. I do not want the gas tax raised. And you say we have to raise a gas tax in order to fund our improvement of roads and bridges, and people say, don't raise my gas tax. There's a disconnect here, because the people that you're saying who need a tax raise to fix the roads and bridges are saying, don't raise my taxes. Where's the confusion?
Nobody wants to see their taxes raised. And as an elected...
Telling them are you saying the people don't know what they need?
No, but listen, nobody wants to see their taxes raised, right? And as a legislator, it's a very difficult time every time I have to vote for a tax increase. And I take no pride in raising some of the taxes. But you have to understand, when you talk about a gas tax, think of it as a user fee. It's a user fee. Without those who use the roads providing a small user fee to help fund our transportation, there is no other new sources of revenue that we have available, no new pots of money that we have available to fund transportation projects.
Okay, last question. Every legislator, I believe, that we're going to wind up talking to on Capitol Report has to be asked this question. And you live in northern New Jersey. You represent a district in northern New Jersey. Keeping New Jerseyans safe from terrorism, the role of state government. Describe it.
Listen, it's incumbent upon all of us in government, at every level of government, from the local level all the way up to the state level, of course, to the federal level. We live in very difficult times and very dangerous times. We all must be vigilant and watch out for one another and watch out for behavior that could be dangerous to our communities. So we have a big, important role. From a Homeland Security standpoint, I have a lot of confidence in our federal law enforcement authorities. I have great confidence in our state police. I have great confidence in all the law enforcement personnel here in New Jersey, that they're being vigilant and that they are keeping an eye on the intelligence reports and watching those suspected terrorists. But we can't let our guard down. We live in difficult times.
Major change in immigration policy on the state level and federal level?
No, listen, the immigration issues clearly are a federal issue. It's not our... We have enough difficult issues to deal with already at the state government. That's something that they're going to have to decide at the federal level.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by Barnabas Health, the New Jersey Education Association, the law firm of Gibbons PC, New Jersey Resources, NJM, NJ Best, International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 825, and by these public-spirited organizations, individuals, and associations committed to informing New Jersey citizens about the important issues facing the Garden State, and by Employers Association of New Jersey. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.